Good day, everyone. The report of Group 7 will be all about construction, manpower, safety. So it will be discussed by John Luel Palaez, Heidelin Plata, and Janet Corteros. As an aspiring engineer, we should know that on every construction project, one of the utmost priority is safety. So not just to yourself, but also the people working on the project. So that is why in every construction site, there is a sign that states safety first. So this sign encourages everyone to prioritize safety over everything. But before we get deeper onto the topic, let's familiarize first on the terms and words that is related to safety. So let's start with number 1 is safety. Safety is a state in which hazards and conditions leading to physical, psychological, or material harm are controlled in order to preserve the health and well-being of individuals. It is also the control of hazards to attain an acceptable level of risk. So safety daw is when any probable cause of harm are controlled or regulated to minimize the chance of having injury or accident in the workplace. So, for example, sa site, hindi naman natin may iwasan na may mga falling objects, kaya nga we wear hard hat. So, this is one way we can control or regulate the harm. So, when we try to regulate any cause of harm to lessen the chance of injury or accident, it is called safety. Number 2 is control. When we say control, it is to regulate or restrain. It is when we manage or create ways and procedures to minimize injury in the workplace. So number 3, hazard. So hazards are unsafe practices or conditions that, if not controlled, may result into the occurrence of an accident or incident. So ito daw yung anything that has the potential to cause harm if not controlled. So example, ito is mga falling objects, mga unsafe chemicals, mga exposed wiring. So lahat ng pwede maging cause ng harm or injury. Number 4 is risk. So risk is a chance of physical and personal loss based on the exposure to the hazard. So when we say risk, ito daw yung mga situations or mga peligro na pwede mangyari if ever you are exposed to any hazard. So, for example, as you can see in the picture, this rope. So, this rope is a hazard because as you can see, hindi na siya maayos at pwede siyang pagsimulan ng aksidente. So, this rope is the hazard. The risk, on the other hand, is the chance na pwede maaksidente ang isang manggagawa using it. Number 5 is incident. Incident is referred to as a work-related event or events in which an injury or ill health, regardless of severity or fatality, occurred or could have occurred. So, incident can refer to any event or big or small, intentional or unintentional na nangyari o kaya ay muntik na mangyari. So, for example, napukpok ang kamay mo ng martilyo o nahulugan ka ng bakal sa ulo o muntik na mahulugan, it is considered as incident regardless kung gaano ito ka-severe. So, basta ito ay pangyayari na maaring nag-cause o magkakos ng harm sa tao. Number 6 naman is accident. It is an undesired event that results in any harm to people, damage to property, or loss to process. It is also regarded as a particular type of incident in which an injury or illness actually occurs. So, an accident is a bad event caused by error or by chance. So, accidents are always unintentional and they usually result in some damage or injury. So, kapag ang isang insidente ay hindi sinasadya at nag-cause na ng harm or injury, it is now called an accident. So, for example, if some equipment malfunctions in a workplace and it injures the workers, that is called an accident. So, kapag ang isang unintentional na pangyayari or insidente ay nag-cause na ng harm to people or damage or loss to process, it is now considered an accident. So, a near miss naman o yung mga pangyayaring muntik na ay there's no actual injury or harm that occurs. So, a near miss is an incident where no injury or illness occurs. So, therefore, an incident can be either an accident or near miss. So, lahat ng aksidente pwede mo ring masabi o ma-describe as incidents, but not all incidents are accidents. Number 7 is unsafe practices or acts. So these are behaviors which could permit the occurrence of an accident or an incident. These are deviation from standard procedures or practices. So unsafe practices are any activities by workers which are against the prescribed safety standard or practice, and it cause or likely to cause accidents or risk not just to oneself but to others at workplace. Ito yung mga gawi o kilos ng mga workers na takaw aksidente. Example ay mga hindi paggamit ng PPE o hindi maayos na paggamit ng mga equipment. Hindi rin maayos ang paggamit ng mga safety devices, and especially yung pagiging clumsy at inattentive ng isang individual sa kanyang paligid. So itong mga acts na ito permits accidents or incidents to occur, just like in the picture. So the unsafe act here in the picture is the improper or not using the PPE and also being inattentive to his surroundings. And number 8 is the unsafe condition. So unsafe conditions are circumstances which could permit the occurrence of an accident or an incident and deviation from standard conditions. These are the equipments, materials, or the environment. So unsafe conditions are the conditions or situations that can cause accident or incidents. So example of it are the defective tools or equipments or supplies in the equipments and materials, and also pag overcrowded and congested ang isang environment or workplace, it permits accidents or incidents to happen. Also, the inadequate or excessive lighting and improper storage or of inflammable goods. So what you can see in this picture is the unsafe condition. So there is the mess and also the low headroom and the sharp edge. So this condition or unsafe conditions permits the accident or incident to happen in the workplace. So this picture shows the different terms. So the rusty lifting gear is the unsafe condition. So this is an example of a faulty equipment, and the two workers with no PPE and is very inattentive to their environment is the unsafe acts. So the third box, makikita naman natin ang near miss, which is muntik na silang dalawa. There is no harm done to them. And also the last box is what we considered as accident because it is fatal. Hindi lang siya injury. So both near miss and accidents are called incidents. Number 9 is safety programs. So these are activities designed to assist management and employees in the recognition, evaluation, and control of workplace hazards. The main goal of safety and health program is to prevent work-related injuries, illnesses, and deaths, and it is very important aspect in the workplace. So, safety programs are activities that helps employer and employees to control workplace hazards. So, maaaring ito ay training on how to identify and control hazards, pwedeng conduct inspections, pwede rin implement ang reporting system, basta para mapanatili ang kaligtasan sa workplace. Number 10 is the safety audit. So a safety audit, it is a critical examination of a safety and health management programs to determine their effectiveness and compliance to regulatory standards. So safety audits are carried out to assess health and safety processes on construction sites. So, kino-consider dito ang mga legislative requirements. Ginagawa ito upang malaman kung sumusunod ba ang isang workplace sa mga health and safety protocols. To tinitingnan din kung alin ang best practices na umiiral and health and safety management systems na umiiral sa workplace. But safety audits are performed by third parties such as auditors who are completely external to the organization. So, hindi pwede mag-safety audits ang involved sa isang projects or under ng isang organization. So, safety audits are executed by government agencies and external experts. So, in the Philippines, private safety organization with competent personnel may be accredited by DOLE or Department of Labor and Employment to conduct technical safety inspection and general safety audit of the construction site. So, this picture is an example of a construction safety audit. So, as you can see, may general inspection, site security, PPE, fire protection and prevention, and many more. So, may kasunod pa ito and marami pa rin ang included. So, these are used para i-check and assess ang different aspect ng isang workplace to ensure the safety. The last one is the personal protective equipment or the PPE. So, PPE are devices used to protect an employee from injury or illness resulting from contact with chemical, radiological, physical, electrical, mechanical, or other workplace hazards. So, these equipments that creates a barrier against workplace hazards. So, dahil nga marami ang hazards sa construction sites, every individual is encouraged to wear their PPE to reduce or eliminate risks. So, PPE is equipment that protects workers against health or safety risks on the job and reduces employee exposure to hazards. In the picture is the usual PPE worn in construction sites. So, unang-una is the hard hat. Never enter a site without this. So, this protect the head from any danger from humps to the head, pag may mga sharp edges, and objects falling from above, or accidental contact with electrical hazards. So, construction sites is prone to noise hazards. So, that's why we need to wear ear muffs. So, ear muffs and earplugs are common hearing protection tools. So, ear muffs are used for reducing high-frequency noise, while earplugs are effective in reducing low-frequency noise. For eye protection naman, wear safety glasses to protect the eyes from dust and tiny debris. Another one is workers should wear work shoes with puncture-resistant and slip-resistant soles. They are the protective boots. They prevent the toes from being crushed when working around falling objects or heavy equipment. So, for instance, biglang na bitawan mo yung may bakal na hawak mo, the protective boots protects the toes from being crushed. Another one is wear gloves to protect the hands, lalo na when handling chemicals, sheet metals, glass, or electrical works to avoid the accidents. Last one is the construction vest. So, why do we need to wear a vest? So, one importance of vest is for easily detection, which can help other parties avoid colliding with the individual because it promotes visibility. So, there are many more PPE and it will be discussed later on. So, let's move on to the facts and figures from OSH in the construction industry. OSH stands for Occupational Safety and Health. So, these are the facts and figures from OSH. So, 17% of the surveyed companies have experienced death in their present workplace. 71% of the workplace do not have first aid station. 21% of the surveyed companies reported major injuries. 72% of the workplace do not have trained first aid personnel. 17% of the surveyed companies accounted disability. 42% have minor injuries occurring in the surveyed job sites. 10% use their safety belts. 6 out of 10 claim that personal protective equipments were not issued to them, and 2 out of 10 used lifelines. So what does this figure tell us? It only means that some of the health and safety policies are not properly implemented. Some of the management are lacking and irresponsible to their employee. It is alarming that many construction sites are unsafe and hazardous for their workers. Some safe and health policies should be strictly evaluated and implemented accordingly for safer workplace.
Good day, everyone. I will be discussing the topics from the hidden cost of accident up to the predominant items in the construction. I will first discuss the hidden cost of accident, which I will be representing using an iceberg. So, in a workplace accident, the cost isn't always obvious. So, many of the costs are hidden and the direct costs are said to be only a tip of an iceberg. So, meron tayong tinatawag na dalawang uri ng cost. Yun yung hidden at saka yung direct cost. Una, ang ating direct cost. Ang example niya ay yung medical compensation. So, kaya siya sinabing direct cost kasi nga, ito yung kapag nagkaroon ng aksidente sa ating trabaho, ang karaniwang sinasabi lang ng mga tao na ang pinakang i-charge lang daw sa company is yung medical compensation. Yun yung babayaran ng kumpanya dahil nga na-aksidente yung kanilang worker doon sa kanilang pinagtatrabahuhan. Pero hindi natin alam na merong mas maraming binabayaran or pinagkakagastusan yung isang company once an accident occur in a workplace. So yun na yung tinatawag nating mga hidden cost. So yung hidden cost na yun ay yun yung tinatawag natin minsan na accident iceberg. Siya yung mas malaking portion sa after ng accident na kung hindi natin bibigyan ng pansin bilang isang company leader, ay maaaring siyang maging dahilan upang bumagsak yung ating kumpanya. So, ang mga example ng ating hidden cost, unang-una, ang time loss from work by the injured. So, time loss from work by the injured kasi kapag nagkaroon tayo ng injured worker sa ating kumpanya, ibig sabihin mawawalan tayo ng isang expert dun sa field na kanyang ginagawa. So, magkakaroon tayo ng another cost para sa training nung maapalit natin pansamantala sa kanya. So, another cost yon. Then, meron din tayong lost time by fellow worker. So, kapag lost time by fellow worker, kasi nga, sa halip na pagtuunan ng pansin ng ating mga fellow worker, yung kanilang trabaho, ang gagawin naman ng manager, kung sakaling hindi man sila kukuha ng replacement do sa mga injured worker, ang gagawin nila is, kukunin nila yung ibang worker para tabunan yung responsibilidad ng mga nagkaroon ng injured and mga na-injured nating worker. Then, damage to tools and equipment at saka yung ating damage equipment is out of service. Syempre, kapag nagkaroon ng direct involvement yung isang equipment doon sa aksidente, kailangan natin silang tanggalin muna or hindi muna natin sila paganahin hanggang hindi natapos yung ating investigasyon doon sa aksidente. So, ibig sabihin lang nun, kailangan na naman nating bumili or kung hindi man tayo bibili is mag-rent tayo ng pansamantalang kapalit para magpatuloy pa rin yung production kahit nga yung investigation natin na hindi pa tapos. Then, syempre, magkakaroon tayo ng lost time by supervisor. Sa halip na pagtuunan ng pansin ng supervisor natin yung mga future problems na maaaring kaharapin ng isang kumpanya, ang gagawin naman nila ay pagtutuunan nila ng pansin yung pag-imbestiga ng kaso. Bakit nagkaroon ng ganon? Then, magkakailangan nila mag-report ng mga claim, then makipag-usap or makipag-communicate sa mga worker, sa mga claims representative at saka syempre i-check nila yung mga injured worker. Then yung loss of production. Kagaya nga nung sinabi ko kaganina, magkakaroon tayo ng loss of production kasi kailangan nating mag-hire ng bago. Ibig sabihin yung ipapalit natin ay hindi man nila masyadong gamay pa or hindi man sila masyadong mabilis pa para magtrabaho. Halimbawa sa isang factory. 'Di ba yung namang mga kasi pumapasok sa factory karaniwan na diyan ay tinitrain muna bago sila papasukin. So kapag kumuha tayo pansamantala ng kanilang kapalit, syempre hindi natin alam kung talagang expert ba sila doon. Hindi katulad nung mga na-injured nating worker na sigurado na tayo na talagang mabilis silang trumabaho kasi nga araw-araw na nila yung ginagawa. So, yun yung magiging dahilan para yung loss of production natin ay ma-delay. So, yung production natin pala, is ma-delay. Then lastly, magkakaroon tayo ng damage to corporate image. So when it comes to damage to corporate image, once an accident is, kumbaga, mapag-usapan siya sa labas ng ating company, mahaharm nito yung ating reputation ng ating company. So magtatanong yung ating mga customers at saka prospects na bakit nagkaroon ng aksidente? Hindi ba nila pinapangalagaan ang kanilang workers? Or kulang ba ang kanilang safety? Hindi ba nila pinagtuunan yung pagdating sa safety ng kanilang mga workers? So, kaya magkakaroon tayo ng damage to corporate image.
Safety problems in the Philippines. So, workplace safety refers to the limitation of elements that can cause harm, accidents, and other negative outcomes in the workplace. So, bakit nga ba natin kailangang i-address or ano ang importansya ng workplace safety? So, before yon, let us first discuss the safety problems. Number 1. Workers are temporary and constantly changing. As a result, there is often tendency to take shortcuts. So, we all know na sa isang construction company or sa isang construction works, ang mga workers natin is hindi pare-parehas. Kumbaga ay, kung sino man yung kinuha natin ng umpisa, hindi natin masasabi na sila pa din yung mga workers na makikita natin sa hanggang sa matapos yung ating ipinapatrabaho. Yan ay dahil sa mga skills na kailangan natin pagdating dun sa scope ng work na kanilang gagampanan. So, minsan, kapag nakulangan tayo ng budget para sa isang certain project or binigyan lang tayo ng certain budget para doon, ang tendency is, yung workers na kinukuha natin is minsan kulang. Or minsan naman, ang kinukuha natin is dapat pala ay 10 skilled, pero ang kinuha lang natin 5 para makatipid. Then, ang tendency nun, yung mga kinuha nating kulang na taong yon na 15 halimbawa, pero kailangan talaga 20, is ang gagawin na lang nila, iisipin na lang nila, tatapusin na lang nila yung trabaho para lang ma-accomplish nila yung work na yon. Kumbaga ay para lang maabot nila yung quota na ibinigay sa kanila. Then, ang kasunod natin, each site includes many contractor performing different types of work in close proximity to each other. So, we all know na sa isang site, iba-iba ang ating contractor. Meron tayong general contractor, meron tayong electrical contractor, and other types of contractor na magkakasamang nag-work sa isang site. So, since sila ay nagtatrabaho in close proximity to each other, nagkakaroon sila ng collaboration at minsan, doon nag-uugat yung problema. Kasi minsan is yung mga idea nila kung paano gawin yung pinakang buong building is nagkakaroon sila ng salungatan sa kanilang mga idea. So, doon minsan nag-uugat yung mga safety problem. Kasi kapag once na hindi magkasundo, halimbawa, ang general contractor sa electrical contractor, magkakaroon ng future problem doon sa kanilang building na ginagawa. Number 3. Working surfaces, machinery, trenching, and scaffolding are constantly moving, being assembled and modified, and new hazards are continually emerging. So, when it comes to this safety problem, makikita natin na talagang yung halimbawa sa scaffolding, once na inassemble natin siya, halimbawa hindi na siya kailangan sa first floor, sa third floor naman natin siya i-assemble kasi doon na yung kailangan ng workers natin magtrabaho. So, kapag nagkamali tayo ng assemble dito, doon na magsisimula yung another risk para sa ating mga workers. Kasi ay, baka may matapakan sila na hindi maganda ang pagkaka-assemble sa part na yun ng scaffolding or may mga tornilyo pala na nawala nung inassemble na natin yung scaffolding. So, doon mag-emerge yung safety problem. The last safety problem is the environmental hazards are often encountered by workers. These include toxic gases generated as byproduct of combustion, dust from cutting saws, and noise from equipment. So, kaya siya isa sa safety problem na kinakaharap ng ating mga workers kasi alam naman natin na yung mga workers natin halimbawa sa factory is minsan nadidistract sila ng mga machinery na nasa kanilang paligid. Minsan naman, nalalanghap nila yung mga toxic gases na mula din doon sa mga machine na kanilang ginagamit. So, ang tendency is maaari itong makaapekto sa kanilang health. And ang isa pa, maaring makaapekto rin ito sa kanilang production pagdating dun sa factoring kanilang pinagtatrabahuhan. Before discussing the predominant items in construction, let us first define the word predominant. So when we say predominant, it is being the most noticeable or largest in number. So kapag naman sa construction industry, ito yung masasabi natin na most common na makikita natin during the construction process. So unang-unang predominant item natin is the ladder. Ladder or yung hagdan. So ano nga ba ang purpose ng hagdan? Ang purpose ng hagdan is kagaya lang nung purpose kapag nandun tayo sa ating bahay at may ginagamit natin yung hagdan para mag-abot ng mga bagay na hindi natin kayang abutin ng kamay lamang natin. So, or kailangan pa nating umakyat doon sa hagdan para lang maabot natin yung bagay. So, ganun din ang kanyang purpose sa construction industry. Ginagamit to help extend our reach, pero yun nga lang, meron siyang iba't ibang uri na nakadepende sa purpose ng agagamitan. Then the next one is the scaffolds. So scaffolds is used as temporary platform used to elevate and support workers and materials during the construction, repair, or cleaning of structure or machine. So yung scaffolds ay karaniwang makikita natin in terms or in form of wood or pwede rin siyang steel. Pero sa mga malaking building, karaniwan dyan ay steel. Pero yung sa mga bahay-bahay, makikita na lang natin na scaffold ay ang gamit nila ay kahoy. Then, ang most common type daw ng scaffold ay yung tinatawag nating supported scaffolding. Then, the next one is shoring and excavation. So, kapag shoring and excavation or excavation and shoring, ito yung naguhukay tayo sa ilalim or naguhukay tayo ng lupa para nga makapagawa tayo ng shoring kung saan magagawa tayo ng support system na magagamit natin para sa prevent ng movement ng ating soil, ng underground utilities, ng roadways, or ng ating mga foundation. So, yun yung purpose ng excavation and shoring. Then, the tunneling. So, kapag tunneling, kung mapapansin natin, marami tayong makikita yung pinakang primary example niya is yung kapag sa mga kalsada, di ba may mga tunnel sa ilalim? Ganun na rin yung tunneling. Pero dito sa mga construction, ito naman yung tinatawag nating subset ng underground construction. So, kapag sinabi nating tunnel, dug in types of materials varying from soft clay to hard rocks. So, bale magabutas tayo para makagawa tayo ng 100 na magagamit natin sa pag-construct ng ating ginagawang building or ng facilities. Halimbawa, yung mga underground tunnel, ganyan, makikita natin yan. Yan yung isa sa mga uri ng tunneling. Pero yung tunneling, kung mapapansin ninyo, ganun din siya sa ng mga mina. Yung kapag nagamina, ganun man din ang tunneling. Then, meron din tayong hoist and crane. So, when we say hoist and crane, ito yung kanyang example. So, yan yung ginagamit natin sa pagbuhat ng mga materials na hindi kayang buhatin ng kamay lamang para mas mabilis nating matransport yung ating mga materials doon sa ating agalagyan. Halimbawa ay sa second floor na ng building, hindi na mabigat siya yung material natin. So, ginagamit na itong para i-transport yung ating materials na ilalagay. Then when it comes to heavy equipment, ito yung mga ginagamit natin. Karaniwan natin ito makikita dyan sa kalsada. Marami man din ganito dito, yung mga bulldozer, then yung mga pison. Ito yung mga heavy equipment na ginagamit natin para yung mga mabibigat na gawain ay ma-minimize. Kumbagay, hindi na tayo mahirapan doon sa mga mabibigat na gawain para hindi na natin kinakailangan ng manual labor. So, yung heavy equipment, it helps completely heavy-duty task in easiest way with minimized risk and reduces the need for manual labor. Then, the barricades. So, yung mga barricades, ito, kagaya nito, yung stop, do not enter, speed limit, 30, yan. One way, yung sa makikita natin karaniwan yung parang tao na yun, dalawa yun ay karaniwan natin makikita dyan. sa kalsada. So, itong mga barricades, ginagamit natin to as warning devices that alert others of the hazards created by construction activities. Yung mga orange na yon, makikita natin kapag inagawa yung kabila ng kalsada, lalagyan yon para ibig sabihin bawal siyang daanan. Or, meron ding mga nakalagay minsan na yung daan daw ay mag-slow daw sa pagtakbo ng sasakyan kasi nga on process yung paggawa ng kalsada. May mga ganun yon. Siya yung ginagamit natin as warning devices. Then, meron din tayong blasting. Ano nga ba yung blasting? So, yung blasting ay yung process kung saan ikakrack natin yung mga rock materials para maging siyang using small amount ng explosive substance. Ginagamitan natin siya ng explosive substance para yung mga malalaking particles kagaya ng rock materials ay mapino natin or ma-destroy natin siya into several pieces. Meron din tayong formworks. So, kapag formworks, parang ito yung kasamahan na siya ng scaffolding. So, siya ay associated sa concrete structure surface finishing. So, ang formworks, ang kanyang purpose is to provide excellent structural safety by offering solutions against all overlay loads, producing exceptionally safe and practical structures. Then, the last predominant item in construction is the public protection. So, ito yung mga public protection, yung makikita natin na nag-act as warning ulit para alam natin na may danger. Kagaya ng danger, electrical hazard. O makikita natin yan ay sa may mga malapit dun sa, makikita natin to dun sa mga lugar na bawal natin puntahan kasi nga danger dun ay yung electricity, yung malalaksang voltahe, ganyan. Then, meron din tayo ditong warning, toxic hazard. So, mga minahan naman to makikita. Yung danger, flammable materials, meron yung nakadikit dun sa mga, minsan makikita natin sa kalsada, yung sa mga sasakyan na ang laman ata nun is gasolina. Parang ganun yata yun. Or hindi ko sure kung ano mismo yung laman. Pero makikita mo sa labas, ang nakalagay nga ay flammable materials. Bawal mo siyang magpakadikit kasi nga flammable.
Good day, everyone. So, this is the continuation of our discussion, and my topic is all about safety and health conditions in construction work sites. Number one, safety and health management for compliances on. Kumbaga dito sila nag-fail i-abide yung mga rules. So, the first one is Organization of Safety Health Committee. Dito, nag-fail silang i-abide yung mga rules ng DOH at IATF when it comes to safety health protocol, recording and reporting of accidents and illnesses. So dapat dapat nagre-report tayo o na-record natin yung mga nangyayari aksidente tsaka mga sakit when it comes to sa construction site kasi dapat alam ng mga superior natin ito. The next one is employment of safety and health personnel. So, kumbaga sa atin ang tawag ito ay safety officer. Sila yung nag-manage ng ating mga safety when it comes to construction sites. Provision of adequate first aid medicine. Dito ay nag-fail sila mag-apply ng first aid. Sa mga nangyayari accidents, di ba apply dapat agad ng first aid. Dapat meron silang training mag-apply agad ng first aid para maagapan kung ano man yung nangyayari aksidente na under sa construction site. Number 2, housekeeping. So, under nito ay obstructed passageways, accumulated waste, and floor and wall opening. So, ang effective housekeeping can help control or eliminate workplace hazards. Poor housekeeping practices frequently contribute to incidents. If the sight of paper, debris, clutter, and speed is accepted as normal, then other more serious hazards may be taken for granted. So, ang magagawa natin ay scan the workplace for existing and potential hazards before work begins and takes appropriate controls. Be aware that conditions can change constantly. So, sa housekeeping, that matuto tayong maging malinis lagi. Hindi naman natin maiiwasan na aksidente pero magdobling ingat pa rin tayo. And number 3, scaffoldings. No provision for guardrails and midrails, toe board, access ladder, and cross-bracing anchorage. So the footing of a scaffolding must be sound and rigid, capable of supporting the weight. Scaffolding must not be placed on stable objects such as bricks or blocks. Kumbaga, ang footing or scaffolding dapat hindi siya i-place sa mga unstable object like bricks or blocks. Maaari kasi ito bumagsak. To protect against falling objects, screen must be installed between toe board and midrail if anyone is required to pass under the scaffolding. And any damaged or weakened component of a scaffold must be repaired or replaced immediately. Dapat kung may damage ng scaffolds ay dapat itong ipalitan or i-repair agad-agad kasi ayaw natin na aksidente. Baka Number 4, ladder slash stairs. Huwag kang magamit ng ladder na made of defective materials, unsafe position, and no handhold. Do not use a ladder that has cracks, loose or corroded rivets, defective braces or parts, including the slip-resistant feet that are in poor condition. Make sure it is free of grease or oil or other slippery substances. Kumbaga, iniiwasan lang natin dito ang aksidente kaya matuto tayong mag-ingat. At i-double check ang ating mga ladders or stairs bago gamitin. At number 5, lifting devices. Safe working load is not indicated. Kumbaga, sa pagbuhat natin ng load, dapat naka-indicate kung ilan lamang ang kaya natin buhatin kasi maaari tayong maaksidente. Dapat may proper handling tayo ng mga bagay. Number 6, formworks. No helmet and safety shoes. And proper handling of tools. Dito sa no helmet and safety shoes, basically, ito yung PPE. Dapat may helmet tayo or safety shoes pagdating natin sa construction sites kasi hindi natin maiiwasan na baka may mahulog sa ulo natin or mabagsakan ng paa natin. Hindi natin masasabi kaya matuto tayong maglagay ng helmet at safety shoes. Or in other words, PPE. In proper handling of tools, matuto tayong proper handling ng tools kasi inaiwasan din ulit natin na aksidente. Number 7, excavation. Ang under nito ay no barrier around excavation. Kumbaga, doon sa in-excavate natin, pagdating man sa excavation ng septic tank, footing, column, etc., dapat maglagay tayo ng barrier kasi hindi natin maiwasan na baka may ibang tao may isang tanga, sorry for the word, ay hindi napapansin ay baka na lang mahulog sila doon. Another is equipment vehicle parked near the edge of excavation. O baka mahulog din yung mga sasakyan na nasa edge ng excavation. So, kailangan pa rin talaga natin ng barrier. No shoring or timbering. And no access ladder. So, ang magagawa natin dito ay provide safe access to get in and out. So, dapat may safe access tayo. Makapasok in and out pagdating sa excavation. For example, ito ay sa tunnel. Prevent collapse, shore, bench, or butterback. Do not assume ground will not stand unsupported. Prevent people and materials falling in with barriers strong enough not to collapse if someone fall against them. So, kailangan matibay talaga yung barrier na agawin natin para wala mang mahulog dito na medyo pasyunga-syungan tao. Number 8, steelworks. Under nito ay no scaffolds and no safety belts and lifelines. So, ang ladder is and scaffold or other safe means of access must be provided. So, dapat pagdating sa steelworks, laging provide ng scaffolds and safety belts and lifelines para safe tayo. Yun naman talaga number 1 priority natin ang safety. Number 9, welding and flame cutting. Under nito is smoking while working, no fire extinguisher, no goggles or gloves. So, basically, PP pa din to. Always wear the correct personal protective equipment, PPE. Protective clothing should be selected to provide protection from radiation, ignition, or electric shock. Clothing should not be able to trap sparks that may ignite the material. Welders should wear eyewear that has UV protection. They also should use ear protection. Kumbaga, dapat all the time naka-wear tayo ng PPE pag nag-welding or flame cutting tayo kasi alam naman natin kung gaano kadelikado ang pag-welding at flame cutting. Number 10, woodworking machine. Ang under nito ay improvised machine, no mechanical guards, no push sticks. Use good lighting so that the workpiece, cutting blades, and machines control can be seen clearly. Position or shade lighting sources so they do not shine in the operator's eye or cause any glare and reflection. Ensure that the floor space around the equipment is sufficient to enable you to the machine the size of workpiece being processed safely without bumping into other workers or equipment. So dapat pagdating sa woodworking machine, lagi tayong maging aware. Number 11, temporary electrical facilities. Ang under nito ay undersized service entrance, improper spacing of wires installed in scaffolds, live wires on wet floor, untapped splices, open safety switches, burnout fuses replaced by copper wires, and improper grounding. So tulad na lang sa wires installed in the scaffolds. Alangan naman mag-install ka ng wires sa mga scaffolds ay nakakapati doon. Sa improper spacing of wires naman ay naiwasan natin as much as possible ang octopus wiring kasi prone ito sa pag-short circuit at maaari din itong mag-declap at mag-cause ng sunog. Pagdating naman sa live wires ng wet floor ay alam naman natin na conductor ng basa ang electricity, so ibig sabihin ay pag ikibasa, automatic na makukurente agad, especially live wires yan eh. Pagdating naman sa open safety switches, ay hindi naman natin maiiwasan na may mga tiltil na tao, yung mahilig mangialam, kung pindutin kung ano-ano, ay pag nakuryente, ay katapusan na. So last but not the least, number 12, personal protective equipment, PPE for compliance from workers. Ang under nito ay feel uneasy. Kumbaga kapag nakasuot ka ng PPE ay kumbaga bihaw ka or hindi ka komportable suot ito. Kasunod, obstruction to job. Doon din mapasok ito sa feel uneasy. Kumbaga nadidistract ka sa trabaho mo. Pag suot-suot mo ito, hindi ka cannot afford to buy. Alam naman natin na hindi lahat tayo nakaka-afford o kaya bilhin ng PPE kasi alam naman natin na mahal ito. Baldness, not aware of hazards, and no orientation the use of PPE. Kumbaga, bago natin isuot dapat ang PPE, that may orientation muna tayo na para saan ito. Kunyari sa headgear, sa hard hat, hard shoes, that may orientation tayo kung anong yung use ba nito para saan, so on and so forth. Personal protective equipment or PPE. So, ba ang use ng PPE at ano ito? Equipment that creates a barrier against workplace hazards. A temporary measure. The employer is responsible for requiring wear of appropriate personal protective equipment in all operations where there is exposure to hazardous condition. And ito ang parts ng PPE. Nahati siya into 7 parts. Head protection, hearing protection, chop pants, foot protection, eye protection, high visibility hat, vest pants, hand protection, and harness lanyard. Types of the PPE are parts ng PPE. Head protection, eye and face protection, hearing protection, respiratory protection, arm and hand protection, foot and leg protection, and protective clothing. So, head protection ay employees working in an area where there is a possible danger of head injury from impact or from falling or flying objects or from electrical shocks and burns shall be protected by helmet. So, in other words, ito ay protection para sa ulo na naiwasan natin kung may bagsakan tayo ng mga matitigas na bagay sa ulo, etc. Eye and face protection. Employees shall be provided with eye and face protection equipment in machines or operations present potential eye or face injury from physical, chemical, or radiation agents. Safety glasses are used to protect the eyes from flying objects. Chemical splash goggles protect against fluid by sealing tightly against the face. And face shields provide highest level of protection. Kumbaga ito yung pagdating na sa pag-welding. Kumbaga may mga sparks man din doon na makatama sa mata natin. So ito ang use na. Hearing protection. All hearing protection devices should have a noise reduction rating and are equal to the number of decibels they will reduce noise level. Types of hearing protection. So ito ang mga types ng hearing protection. Earplug. Kung ang use ng earplugs ay less expensive, disposable, and good ones have fairly high NRRs, sometimes difficult to tell if employees are wearing them. Ear muffs, more expensive, more durable, typically higher NRRs than plugs, more obvious. Number 4, respiratory protection. Protects users by removing harmful materials that may enter the body via the lungs. And number 5, arm and hand protection. Glove is the most common hand protection in construction works. And pagdating naman sa foot and leg protections, steel-toed shoes and rubber boots are the examples of common protective footwear. Kumbaga ito yung pagdating sa paa natin. Kumbaga pag naiwasan din natin na mabagsakan ito ng matitigas kasi masakit kapag nabagsakan ka sa paa. Protective clothing. Used to protect street clothes from hazards in the workplace. To be considered effective, protective clothing must prevent the contaminant from reaching the clothing or skin of the wearer. Kumbaga, inaprotektan nito yung mga dangerous, inaprotektan nito yung skin mo from dangerous chemicals na maaaring mag-enter sa iyong katawan. At ito ang personal protective equipment or PPE. Based sa picture. That's all for us. Thank you for listening and God bless.